Hi, I'm Micki,
Hi, I'm Kat.
and we are Cat and Mouse Astrology. Welcome to a very interesting new moon. And this new moon looks to be kind of triny or kind of sextile-y.
Sextile. Hmm.
Sextile. That seemed the most, the most,
Or at least we'll focus on the sextile
I
instead
think
of
we
the.
should focus on the sextiles. That's right. The sextiles mean opportunity, but it
Yes,
doesn't mean that, you just land in a pot of gold. It means that maybe if you take the right road, there you'll find gold nuggets down the road or something.
take the right road because there is that square.
Because there is that square. That's
Okay,
right.
right.
This may be a corner you have to turn to get on the right road.
Is there something about Gemini where you're just constantly needing to practice discernment?
Ooh, that's a good way of putting it. Such a mercantile Mercury, and with the dual faces.
Yeah, it's got that
Yeah,
duality.
that duality.
Yeah, I feel like and thinking of my Gemini friends, it's like, oh, there's always these options, and what should I think, and what should I do, and
Yeah,
discernment, friends.
discernment.
I believe it's one of the spiritual gifts.
You having had Mars, I have Mars natally in Gemini, and with
Mm.
Mars over that point for 7 months last year, I mean, it was like I really recognized, oh, okay. Yeah, this is what it's all about to be Mars and Mercury, which is energy going everywhere all at once with no seeming purpose.
Oh,
You can
interesting.
direct it and you can have purpose, and the discernment can come from, the mercurial nature of Gemini, but Gemini is two things, not one.
Both
Shall we
and.
look both and shall we look at it? Shall we
Yeah,
pull it
let's
up?
do it. Let's
Let's
do it.
share the screen and see what we got. Here she is.
Ta-da!
Here's the new moon in Gemini with a little Venusian love joining her. So
Yep,
this
yep.
is that to me is um to me the signature is we did have all that Mars in Gemini for such a long time. And sorry, not Venus, Mercury. And now we had Venus come through and kind of brighten it up, and now we have Mercury coming through to communicate, take this new moon forwards us in a new way in Gemini.
Okay, good. Hopefully
Mars
it's
came through
leading us
there
towards
and
Leo.
say what?
I hope it's leading us towards Leo with
That's
Venus
how I
retrograde coming up.
right, because now both Mars and Venus are there in Leo with our moon, or sorry, with Black Moon. So with Mars in Leo and Venus in Leo here, now the lovers, of course, never connect in this sign.
Hmm.
Venus is chasing Mars. Hey, baby, I'm gonna
Oh,
catch her. But it's not going to catch up with Mars until way over something that maybe was a dream created back when Mars was in Gemini. Maybe
okay.
two dreams. Maybe two
Maybe,
dreams.
maybe two dreams.
But now
maybe
that's
what you're
highlighted.
maybe what you're chasing has its own dream, and
But
it's
there's a
chasing
lot to
that.
talk about. I mean, the Mercury here is clearly, I believe, going to disseminate what this was about for each of us.
Oh, okay. Let's see
Right
what
there.
Mercury is, Sabian symbol wise.
Yeah, that would be good.
Gemini 11 offer the pioneer new opportunities for experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it feels like. We completed our Gemini studies, let's say, and
Okay.
this new moon is saying, hey, you passed the course, you're moving on. In whatever way we made it through this, and Mercury kind of is heralding what it means for us, I think.
Mm, chasing new
Wherever Gemini,
opportunities.
right, wherever Gemini is. I mean, Gemini is a first house. Well, you just went through some big changes in your appearance and how you come off to the world, and And with the new moon, if it were my first house Gemini, I'd be looking at, really a new beginning for whatever it is I'm, whoever it is I define myself as being, and
Mm.
probably talking about that, right? Whereas if it's second house, then it's a money transformation that has been gone through. Mars went through and activated a lot of stuff, and Venus went through and harmonized a lot of stuff, and now Mercury's there with the new moon talking about those changes.
Okay.
And right on through.
Yeah. You want to keep going through the wheel? What's third house?
Okay, yeah. Third house, right, that would be our change in our, maybe neighborhood or local activities, relationships with friends and neighbors, running around stuff. Maybe a transformation in your how you do things, day-to-day tasks.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas fourth house would be, if fourth house Gemini would mean big changes happened in your home.
Mm-hmm.
Martian changes happened in your home, followed by maybe a renovation. And now you're talking about, hey, look at my new living room set. Fifth house, maybe you've got, you had a big change in your relationship with children or with creative projects. And now those changes are being highlighted and being discussed. Or sixth house, Gemini, a change in how you deal with your health, how you exercise, how you work, how you take care of your pets. And those things are now being talked about and highlighted in this, let's move forward in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a Gemini, so maybe in two new ways.
Two
new ways.
Where you have to practice discernment between the two ways.
Exactly. Go a little ways down this road and go, let's try that road. Now double back. Now, if it's seventh house, that would be more relationships. There was a big change in your relationships, your Gemini relationships. And now, you're talking about what those changes meant for you, how they're impacting you. And if it was eighth house, that could have been a big change in how you deal with other people's resources or, governmental resources. You could have had, maybe you got a windfall. Maybe last summer you paved the way with that Mars in there to get a windfall, and Venus came through and dropped some money in your lap, and now you're talking about what you did with the money, or now you're thinking about the renovation because you've got the new moon there in the eighth house to renovate.
Maybe you want a new job.
Maybe you want a new job. But that would be more, I would say, either sixth or ninth house.
Oh.
But money coming from a third party, if you were working for an institution, I could see that being eighth house too, or getting it from a source, like through some government agency or through some third party source like that. Ninth house, higher learning, a big change. Maybe you graduated or started school, had a Martian impact on travel. Venus came through and maybe brightened that up for you, and now you're talking about your travel or your plans for higher education. Or this would be, I would see it in ninth house. This new moon could say you're graduating and you are moving on.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I could see a graduate with a Gemini ninth house right here real easily.
What would be their rising sign? Scorpio?
For a Gemini ninth?
Yeah. No, Libra.
Libra. Well, no, Gemini, I'm Libra. It depends. Could be eighth or ninth, depends on where.
Right.
The whole house system. For me, it's Gemini's the eighth house, and I'm Libra rising. So ninth house is probably, Scorpio, depending on which house system. In the whole house system, I'd say Scorpio.
Okay.
10th house, now we're, looking at career. So maybe somebody had a big change in the career or what they were doing, how they were seen in the outer world. I think of mothers this way too. Like, what if I was a mother and I didn't work outside the home? I raised kids, or a father, raised kids my whole life. That doesn't mean that there's not a way that people are viewed in the outer world with their career. Their career is taking care of kids.
Right.
You
Right.
take your kids to the park, you take your kids to the zoo or whatever, that's your outer world. So that 10th
Your
house,
nursery school where you have to
yeah,
participate on a regular basis.
exactly.
Yeah.
So some big change to whatever is the way you're viewed in the outer world as far as your career or what you do
Mhm.
would be being talked about now, and new beginnings coming.
Mhm.
Then 11th house is friends, or let's say groups of friends, group activities, things we do with others in a bigger way. So here I could see that maybe Mars came through last summer and people with 11th house Gemini cut some ties.
Oh.
And then Venus came back through and smoothed things over, and maybe they reasserted some ties or joined a new group.
Mhm.
And then now with Mercury here, they're talking about their new beginnings with their new associations or something.
Mhm.
And finally, 12th, that would be Mars coming through last summer and, I don't know, severing some things psychologically or looking at our past, maybe digging some stuff up from the past, Venus coming through and smoothing that out. And then
Mhm.
now Mercury is talking about new beginnings in how we deal with old issues.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's always a good thing.
Now you're 12th house Gemini, aren't you?
No, I'm 12th house Pisces. I'm
You're 12th
third
house
house.
Pisces. Third house Gemini. Okay, yeah. 12th house Gemini, I think, would be pretty interesting
Yeah.
with that new moon there in the 12th house.
Right.
That's something new beginning there. So
What's up, Cancer rising?
yeah, yeah. Now, what do you think of this sextile between, we've got a sextile between Saturn and Jupiter here that's pretty nice.
Gosh, that seems so sweet. Saturn causes so many problems and constrictions, but then Jupiter makes everything so much bigger. I feel like whatever Saturn's been up to with all its squares lately, maybe Jupiter's given a little ease to the restructurings.
Have you felt the Saturn in your Pisces 12th house?
Ah. No, because I'm such a anti-disciplinarian. I mean, I do. There's been little bits of like, get a little bit structured, Kat. Maybe like have some discipline. But I've got 3 years. I'm looking at it that way. I
Right.
have made progress in this first year
Well, I would
to
think that this,
organize my Pisces.
right. I would think that this Jupiter adds some positive momentum to the Saturn rather than more than a tug of war, because this is a sextile.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Let's
I
see what
think it's an aid. Plus, we have the sextile between Venus and Mercury, which is pretty nice. I'm going to close my window. I can hear the lawnmower. Sorry.
Okay.
If this helps.
Jupiter is at 6 Taurus. A woman of Samaria comes to draw water from the well. So
Ooh,
it's that great symbol about nourishment and generosity and kindness to strangers.
that's 6 Jupiter. Would you read one more time?
A woman of Samaria comes to draw water from the well.
Aha. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. It does seem very benefic, and that's the term we use for Jupiter, right?
Right.
It's a
Right.
benefic planet. And Saturn in Pisces here, Saturn's weak in Pisces,
Ah.
right? Because it's like trying to build underwater.
That's probably why it's so sluggish, and I have 3 years.
Right. This process is slow, and you got to do it differently than you might otherwise. You don't have
Mhm.
gravity working for you in the same way, right?
Right.
So,
Saturn at 7 Pisces is a girl blowing a bugle.
yeah, we had that last time.
Yeah.
That's right. It's been because it's been sitting there a while, which is a heralding of something.
Right.
Right. To me, again, in the larger geopolitical sphere, I see this as a positive for a turn in the Ukraine war, which is going on, the Russia-Ukrainian war that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
This could herald a change for a better, an end to this thing by Russia getting out of there because it doesn't belong to them.
Does the land belong to anyone?
Well, if somebody comes in and takes over our country and says, we're going to take over your country because you're actually really Chinese, I'd be disturbed. I can understand why they're disturbed.
It's disturbing.
We're
Yeah.
not to a place yet
Imperialism.
where we're in a global happy world, and I hope we will get there.
We'll get there, I
We'll get
guess.
there.
I don't know.
But we've got
Imperialism is always a problem, no matter who's perpetrating it.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. We just have a lot of perpetrators right now. But non-geopolitically, this Mercury Venus, what did you have for the Venus 11?
Oh, let me go find it again. An evening lawn party of adults.
Oh yeah. Well, Mars is right there, and Black Moon Lilith.
Right. And so Mars
Don't
is,
get inebriated and then find yourself doing something you didn't want to.
or find yourself on a path you didn't see before. It might be the right one.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
Mars,
sorry, go ahead.
Mars 16 is that volunteer church choir makes a social event of rehearsal. That's a good one to go with an evening lawn party.
It is. There's just something sitting there that we don't know what's going on with the Black Moon. My sign is like, there's an elephant in the room and nobody's talking about it.
Black
You can
Moon.
actually see the elephant.
The Black Moon is a chemist conducts an experiment for his students. The Black Moon's doing some chemistry experiment with Mars and Venus.
That's a little disturbing.
Alchemy.
Hopefully, yeah, we're gonna make a little gold here.
Well, make a little gold here at our evening lawn party rehearsal. It's sort of rehearsal.
Venus is going to come back to this degree, right? Because Venus is going for Venus is just now going forward. It's going to hit 28, I think, and then come back to 8. I could be wrong. I'll have to look that up. But it's going to have a big swath here and then come back and move forward again. 40 days and 40 nights.
I'm so excited.
I always find that interesting that that's where that came from.
Oh, it's Venus. Oh.
Yeah. Because Venus is so interesting in its revolution around the sun that it creates an 8-pointed or a 5-pointed star every 8 years.
Yeah.
So it's an unusual configuration, and it's been followed by astronomers and astrologers for a very long time, centuries, right?
Millennia, probably.
Yeah, millennia, probably. Exactly.
How long have there been humans? 40,000 years.
Right.
Whatever we were before we were humans, probably they paid attention to Venus's cycles.
Exactly. Now, what do you think of the Neptune moon square?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Let's see what Neptune is still at. Oh, shoot. That's my south node. Neptune's sitting on the south node. A fertile garden under the full moon.
Fertile garden under the full moon.
Yeah.
And we're sitting over here in the fertile garden with something we're not actually quite sure about.
Yeah. Or we're doing some experimenting.
We're doing some experimenting under the full moon. That sounds sexy.
It really does. It also sounds shadowy, and like there's could be some things at play that like aren't quite what they seem.
Right.
Because the full moon illuminates a fertile garden, but it's very shadowy.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you've got like a bunch of moonflowers and other white things that glow at night, it's still pretty dark.
Yeah, and that's a perfect description for it, because you've got the Neptunian, the fog of Neptune
Right.
in Pisces.
Right.
I mean, you know, you need a foghorn and a lighthouse with Neptune in Pisces. Otherwise, you'll never find your way home.
Yeah. And that's
Right?
probably why I've been hearing other astrologers saying this is not a new moon to set intentions with.
Right. Because what are your intentions? I
Yes.
don't really quite know.
I'm just chasing something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm chasing something I'm not going to achieve for quite a while. And right in front of that is some kind of chemical
Experimenting.
experiment. Well, wait a minute. And we are going to wait a minute, because we are going to reach, Venus is going to conjunct the moon.
Black
But
moon.
it's not
Yeah.
going to conjunct Black Moon, but it's not going to conjunct Mars for so
Right.
long. But this is going to be an interesting 40 days and 40 nights, I believe, as we learn as this starts to, the fog starts to clear from this. And we've
Right.
got ways. Neptune won't be in Aries for, at least another year. I think I want to say 2025.
Wow.
Um,
So it's
so
just gonna, what's it mean for Neptune to be sitting on my south node?
I would say letting go of something vague.
Okay. More clarity. Letting go of something vague, some more clarity can come in.
And it's 12th house, so it's kind of a double letting go.
Yeah.
It could be kind of one of those karmic letting goes.
Oh, so I
But
don't even
what's
need to
vague
worry
is,
about it.
well, what's vague is, that you may be letting go of something generational that you're not, Black Moon, completely aware of.
Oh. And okay, I got time. Okay. It's probably whatever's been living in my left leg as like bound up energy. I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, that's an interesting thing to say. Something's living in your left leg.
Well, in the sense that like, oh, you've got all this like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, like Reiki people have been like, oh, you've got a lot of dense energy stored in your left leg.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, yes, I do. And they say it's like way generational. Um, and then massage therapists will just be like, yeah, you've got a lot of like tension in your left leg.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Does Pisces rule the feet?
ooh,
I don't know the
know
body
that.
parts in the
I
astrological
wish I
sign.
knew that better, and I'm not 100% positive.
If somebody knows, you can tell us in the comments and
That
maybe
would
we'll
be
see it.
appreciated. Yeah. But that is an interesting signature to have it on your node, to have that Neptune, to have any one of the planets sitting on one of your natal planets is a definite emphasis
Yeah.
that, you want to, for me, it creates an opportunity for meditation. It's like, okay, what does that mean? What am I
Yeah.
letting go of here in this kind of dual way? Because it's both 12th house and south node.
Yeah.
And how does that relate to the meaning of Neptune, which is, to me, ultimately positive? Rick Levine describes Neptune as being the higher octave of Mercury,
Right. Okay.
right? Neptune, we get beyond, you know, the earthly and
Yeah.
into the spheres of otherworldly. So
Okay.
Neptunian can bring us into those places of, you know, angels and aliens and, spirits and fairies and,
Ancestors.
yeah, things like that that are just beyond our normal everyday experience. And that's why Saturn and Neptune there together is an interesting signature,
Hmm.
right? Saturn is maybe trying to bring some earthiness into, or some structure into something that is ultimately unstructurable, or, you know, how do you,
Which
I guess you could
which is
structure
my
water by
personal
saying I'm going to
task.
swim over there. Say again?
That is my personal task to bring some structure to what is unstructurable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how's that going?
I'm giving myself 3 years.
Uh-huh. I could imagine an amazing creative project coming out of it.
Yeah, I think so. And probably in continuation. Like I think this is setting up some foundation for my habits of structuring the unstructurable for a continued better connection to the Neptunian sphere of things.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I like it. And I'm interested because that's a pretty exact square, and it's the new moon that we've already talked about, taking us into a new place after we've done all this Gemini work.
Right.
So having the square with Neptune, although it creates a lot of vagueness and maybe confusion,
Oh.
um, I think that there's a positivity here in taking us out of this realm. Sometimes how's that's another thing I'm thinking of. Rick Levine talks about imagination lays the
Mhm.
track for the reality train to follow. He says he got
Oh,
that actually from Carolyn Casey. So,
yeah.
Neptune's imagination, and it's laying the track that the structure, Neptune is creating the dream, laying the
Right.
track that later Saturn will come and put down the foundation for that we'll be able to follow to get where this new moon is taking us.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I
kind
didn't
of
tell
like
you the new moon signature yet.
please.
26 Gemini, a young gypsy emerging from the woods gazes at far cities.
Ooh. One more time.
A young gypsy, we could use another word, traveler, emerging from the woods gazes at far cities.
That's really interesting. It does feel like moving into a new place
We got
in
a
a
couple
very new
moving into a
way.
new place degrees here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think this is heralding a new beginning, but yeah, you might want to wait to set intentions for something that doesn't have the square with Neptune, unless the intentions we're setting are those for finding clarity,
Mm,
right?
hmm
Or finding creative powers that we can move into in the future.
Right, right. Or just
Um,
letting the dreaminess fog do its thing. Maybe our intentions is to just be patient
let things cook.
while the dreamy fog does its brewy stew.
Yeah, brewy
Pisces.
stew. Brewy stew. That's this moon. I think you've pegged it. It's a brewy stew.
It's a brewy stew of a new moon.
It's a brewy stew of a new moon.
Wait till that solstice and then like have a party and burn some intentions in the fire.
Yeah, that's right. That sounds like a good idea. I'm gonna steal you, babe. I'm gonna stop our share now.
Yeah,
So yeah, brewy stew.
a brewy stew.
I like the brewy stew because that's what it feels like. It feels like when you're stepping out of something that you've been used to and you go into something new, we don't there's that in between stage.
The liminal stage.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a real liminal moon.
Moon.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. So it does measure patience and to just be okay with the way that things aren't the way that they will be or were.
Right. And be prepared for all this sense of going forward motion with Venus and Mars
Yeah.
going back in 40 days. So, that's why I think the going slow,
Going slow.
that's really good advice, Kat, because we want to really, especially when we can't see in the fog,
Yeah.
step closely, step carefully, be aware that where we're headed, we may be backtracking from and going in a different way in the future after we see what's going on.
Right. Because it's a dreamy one, so we're chasing something that we're also still creating the imagination for.
Yeah.
And so
Ooh,
then
yeah.
we get to revisit the imaginings we've had and be like, oh, maybe that wasn't quite right. We'll try again.
Right. Right.
Because the tracks aren't laid yet. Saturn hasn't come through and laid the tracks yet, so we still have time.
We still have time. That's right. Well, I think that that's a great interpretation. We probably should leave it there.
All right. Happy new moon, everybody.
Happy new moon, everybody. Enjoy
Have a
your
great
liminal.
solstice.
Yeah, and solstice. Have a beautiful summer solstice.
Beautiful summer solstice.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.